easy to play, nostalgic. This was something Johnny had noticed when he began reviewing the last few games after the Zelda marathon. Speaking of which, I could have sworn he said he wasn't going to do another marathon after the Zelda series, and yet here he is reviewing a slew of indie titles in a row. This time Johnny turned his interests on Bastion, initially released for Xbox Live Arcade during the 2011 Summer of Arcade for Xbox Live. Summer of Arcade, that takes him back. You couldn't even begin to imagine how many hours Johnny spent on Castlevania Harmony of Despair during the Summer of Arcade in 2010. But I'm getting off topic here.
Big time.
Just shut up and let me do the talking. Believe it or not, Johnny ended up buying this game twice, once on Steam and once again on Xbox Live.
Well, that's because I find it easier to record using games with my HotPod than having the necessary memory to run fraps. I just wish I realized it earlier.
Oh, that Johnny. Always a little slow on the uptake.
Hey, fuck you, alright? Can we just get started already?
Bastion was created by independent developer Supergiant Games, which, despite its name, only had this game under its belt at the time being. Everybody has their humble beginnings, I guess. The main protagonist is this boy only known as the Kid. No, it ain't that kid, but I can hear John's PTSD from here. Anyway, you're not sure who the Kid is exactly or why everything seemingly floats in this perpetual void. Luckily, you got a narrator like me to slowly fill you in on all the details. Bastion doesn't really have all those fancy-smancy cutscenes all over the place, but it sure has a lot of me. And because of this contract I signed with WB Games, I'm only allowed to fill you in on certain details at certain times. Boy, that sure confused the hell out of Johnny. He didn't really see a reason why the narrator was holding back details both large and small, but at the same time, he didn't really seem to care. Johnny was having a hard time just trying to follow the whole plot. Someone like me is always flapping his lips, whether you're entering a new area, examining an item, falling off the stage for the 10th time that session, or in the middle of combat. I always have something to say, and Johnny thought many times I should just shut up until there's nothing happening on the screen. Said it was hard to pay attention to at times. Johnny always had a tendency to go deep into a game's story, but this time he wasn't feeling it. All he knew or cared about was that there was once a huge calamity that wiped out a whole lot of people. The Kid, who somehow survived the catastrophe, made it his duty along with this old man to restore the Bastion. Pretty much a safe haven for any survivors, if you will. The further you went into the game, the more history you can unfold by collecting certain items, like what this world used to be like before the calamity. Something like that didn't really seem to interest Johnny. Didn't really mean much to him now that everyone was dead. He thought to himself, the past can't be undone, so why am I being told so much about it? Building the Bastion required Johnny to collect these cores. Well, that's what they're called in the game. Johnny had another name for them, but I don't really remember what that was.
MacGuffin.
MacGuffin? Sounds like a breakfast sandwich.
Just continue on already.
Anyway, unfortunately for him, these cores were guarded by creatures that weren't going to give up the core without a fight. And let me tell you, the world of Bastion hosts some mighty bizarre creatures. It took some time for Johnny to process that he was fighting what was essentially a giant blueberry that's gone rogue, or automatic pincushions that never seem to run out of needles. He also didn't seem to like lunkheads at first. But besides that, everything else didn't really give Johnny a hard time. Said something about them being all pretty easy to take down from a distance. He also said they weren't all too bright either. Johnny didn't really follow the story all that much, but he was certainly having himself a good time with the gameplay mechanics. It was a good blend of action with RPG elements. Having access to 2 different weapons at once, special abilities that made life easier, and a shield that was good for protecting your hide. It made him think of other games he enjoyed in his youth, like that one game with the boy and his oversized key. Or that other game with the small boy inside a kingdom where everything was named after food.
Kingdom Hearts and Brave Friends of Musashi?
Yeah, those. I was gonna name them. He didn't really like the Kid's overall movement speed. Found himself using the dodge roll all over the place to pick up the pace when nothing was happening around him. He said it wasn't too bad though, considering his battle strategies. Johnny really got to liking the different weapons he could equip and level up by collecting certain materials, and these blue rocks that act as money.
Why blue rocks?
You asked too many questions. He also liked how gaining experience allowed him to equip more and more things to make him stronger and more durable. You know, that whole feeling of getting stronger as you progress sort of thing that really seems to give Johnny a hard on.
What? It's a good feeling. And did I just warp to a gauntlet level by getting high? Also, how old is the Kid if he gets stat bonuses by ingesting alcohol? Is he really a kid?
Did you forget that you were playing a video game?
Just keep going.
Johnny didn't like all the weapons he could use. He almost immediately switched out the hammer you got in the beginning of the game for the war machete. He always did like his weapons fast and sharp. Some of the long-range weapons also left a bad taste in his mouth. Didn't really like the poor accuracy of a few of them. He also said that obtaining a new weapon was a tad annoying too, especially if it was something he ended up hating. Bastion's one of those games where a new weapon is forced upon the player to learn the basics even if you don't want to. Poor Johnny, he was really liking those dual pistols, but then they were taken away from him for a part of the level. Had to learn how to use this army carbine that he didn't show much appreciation for. The happiest moment of his experience was finding the nearest arsenal and switching the carbine back for the dual pistols. Upgrading the weapons to make them stronger, getting more stat bonuses by leveling up, it all pleased Johnny. Pleased him so much he didn't realize the game only lasted about 6 hours. Set for 15 blue rocks.
Dollars.
$15. That Bastion was a game good enough for the gameplay alone. He even liked that there was a new Game Plus feature. Everyone likes to play God every once in a while. Speaking of God, he didn't find much use with the whole invoking God system. You see, you can invoke a certain God to place a handicap on the kid, but you're rewarded with more bonuses if you manage to complete obstacles. John didn't really see the need to do that. Said he was pretty much, pimped out by the time he reached the last part of the game. Pimped out?
What?
What in blazes does pimped out
It just
mean?
means I'm loaded and good to go.
Then just say prepare.
Why are you still here?
Hold your horses, I ain't finished yet.
I'm not even playing Bastion anymore.
Are you sure you even like the game?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had a hard time understanding the story because you never seem to shut the hell up at the right times, but I had my fun for $15. I'll play this again. Later.
You gotta say anything about the graphics and such?
The art style is nice. It makes for some good scenery that simultaneously pops out and is easy on the eyes. I can't help but think of games like StarCraft or League of Legends, though, when I look at it.
Do you even play those games?
No, I'm just saying that in terms of looks, that's what it reminds me of. Are you gonna leave anytime soon? I have things to work on.
John, who are you talking to?
I don't know.
Is it the Tails doll?
Are you the Tails doll?
No.
It's not the Tails doll, Elliot.
Okay.
So, we're all good here. You really like the game?
Yeah, it's fine. It's not perfect, but it's earned its price tag, I think. You ever had one of those games which you couldn't exactly describe your overall experience with? I consider Bastion to be one of those titles. I had a good time, but I can't really go beyond that. I didn't want to put it down, but at the same time, I couldn't get really into it. You get what I'm saying?
So I'm guessing that's the reason you hired me to narrate this, huh?
Pretty much, yeah.
When do I get my check?
You get it when you leave. Anyway, guys, I have one more game to look at before I head into the world of Minecraft. The next game coming up is another title that a lot of you wanted me to look at, so I'll see you guys next time with Dust and Elysian Tale.
You are paying me, right?
Of course I am. Elliot!
Yeah?
You go outside and get me some rocks. Anyway, guys, I have one more game to look at before heading into the world of Minecraft. The next title coming up is up. Not if Jerry the motorcyclist has anything to say. Hold on there, bitch. Not if Hell's Angels has anything to say.